What is actually going on with this OpenSea hack? In this video, I'm going to do a deep dive and we're going to touch on exactly what's going on, what sort of exploit this is, and at the very end, I will give you some tips on how not to fall prey to these sort of hacks. Let's get started. So as you can see here on Etherscan, this account in one day has accumulated over $500,000. So you can see exactly where the money is going. It'll be interesting to see where it routes in the future. And as you can see, this banner when we go to OpenSea.io is actually telling us about this phishing hack. So it's trying to get people to kind of stay vigilant for the time being. So first off, what actually even happened here? According to OpenSea, 32 accounts have been confirmed as compromised and a total of $1.7 million USD in assets have been stolen. So this is a sizable hack, but it seems like the 200 million USD figure that's being circulated isn't quite substantiated yet. So first, let's check out what the CEO and founder of OpenSea has to say. Okay, so I'm just taking a look at his Twitter account right now, and I quote, "We have confidence that this was a phishing attack. We don't know where the phishing occurred, but we have been able to rule out a number of things based on our conversations with 32 affected users. Specifically, this attack did not originate on OpenSea.io. Interaction with OpenSea email is not a vector for attack. In fact, we are unaware of any of the affected users receiving or clicking links in suspicious emails. Minting, buying, selling, or listing items using OpenSea.io is not a vector for attack. In particular, signing the new smart contract, the Wyvern 2.3 contract, is not a vector for attack. Using the listing migration tool on OpenSea to migrate listings to the new Wyvern 2.3 contract is not a vector for attack. Clicking on our site banner is also not a vector for the attack. We're actively working with users whose items were stolen to narrow down a set of common websites that have been interacted with that might be responsible for the malicious signatures." Okay, so basically what this means is the OpenSea website was not hacked, so there wasn't any banner or any sort of malfeasance on the OpenSea website. Similar, it wasn't the OpenSea emails that were compromised. So it wasn't as if some emails were sent to users, they clicked the link and the link was malicious in some way. Although that's always a possibility from a spoofed email, from a third-party email service, but the OpenSea official emails were not hacked. And real quick, this is actually important. Like this video so that we can get this out to people so that people are aware of this and OpenSea gets this fixed and less people have issues with this hack. I think that's probably a good thing to do. And most importantly, it sounds like this is a phishing hack. And phishing actually does not compromise the integrity of anything that OpenSea is doing, the Ethereum blockchain, the smart contracts. It has nothing to do with that. It's a social engineering hack. We always need to stay vigilant of social engineering hacks, but it's not an indictment on the technology or any of the platforms in question. So emails were sent out from OpenSea that got users kind of skittish, but it looks like those emails are not related to this attack. All right, so this Twitter user, Nezo, also did some sleuthing and came up with some interesting information. Basically, they determined that phishing was used to target individuals, and individuals would sign a contract that looked legitimate or probably was presented with some sort of legitimate need or urgency. And once that contract was signed, the signatures were stored on a server by the hacker. And then at a later point, the hacker is able to transact on behalf of the hacked user. And it looks like that exploit happened actually about 30 days ago. Because I know this is going to come up as a question, let's linger a second on email exploits. So if you get an email from OpenSea in this case, it would be my suggestion to never use a link in their email to transact. In fact, I would never click a link on any email. Why is this? Because there's so many different ways an email can be hacked. Like, even if you look at the details and the email came from the proper name server, the proper domain name, well, that just means that OpenSea's email servers could have been hacked. Again, you don't need a hack on the Ethereum network. You don't need an exploit in the contract. You don't need anything that sophisticated. It could have just been that someone got into the OpenSea mail server and sent out emails on their behalf. Additionally, you can send emails that look like they're coming from OpenSea. These are called spoofed emails, and it'll even say from OpenSea.io, and that's a spoofed email. And finally, even if OpenSea's email servers were not hacked, OpenSea probably doesn't manage its own email servers. It probably uses a third party. And in this case, I think it's a company called customer.io or something like that. So it's not even OpenSea that needs to get hacked for that exploit to be used. It could have been the third party that's fronting these emails, like SendGrid or something like that. And if that happens, again, you send out these emails and you have people do things that are ill-advised. And let's just take an example real quick. Say I need to pay company A an invoice, and they're going to give me a wire number to send the invoice to. If someone has access to their email servers, they can send me a legitimate email saying, hey, send the wire to address 123. And it looks completely legitimate from my perspective. The email's legitimate, it came from the right people. I go ahead and send wire to address 123, and then the customer says, hey, we never got the wire. Well, that's because someone had compromised their email server. That's exactly what can happen here. Now, it does look like an exploit was also used in the smart contract itself, and I'm not 100% sure on this because I can't quite parse Solidity code, especially code that's been obfuscated by hackers, but what I'm seeing on some Twitter feeds is that essentially it's always been assumed that one transaction can send one NFT, can send one digital asset. A single transaction can actually empty out a whole wallet and send all the assets. So that's actually a new piece of information. Again, it's not exploitable without the social engineering aspect, but apparently that's something that people may not have known. And I'm not 100% on that, but that's what it appears to look like. So now the other hack vector that people are talking about is there is a migration initiative going on with OpenSea right now to implement a new contract that kind of polishes up some loose ends that were going on. And what happened was there was a banner being shown on OpenSea.io. And I actually used the Wayback Machine here to show you what that looks like. And the question that people had was, well, when you click that banner, is that the phishing attack? Is that then taking me to the exploit? According to OpenSea, it wasn't. But let's just talk about this for a second. This is a possible vector for attack. And basically, all they would need, the hackers, is access to the OpenSea.io front-end servers. Now it's pretty unlikely, but it's possible, and it's unlikely that they would hack the OpenSea hosts, but it's possible that they could hack one of the third parties that the hosts are using. So look at this list of third-party resources that are injecting JavaScript onto OpenSea. We have Amplitude, Cloudflare, Facebook, Full Story, Google Fonts, Google Analytics, YouTube. I mean, there's just a number of different domains that are injecting JavaScript onto OpenSea. All these tags, all they would have to do is just amend that JavaScript to do a social exploit and drop a little banner and say, hey, urgent, gotta do this. And then not everyone will fall victim to it, but some percentage of people will fall victim to it. And now they have those funds. So that's a more likely way that this all gets compromised. And so I did some digging on some of these hacked accounts, and basically one of these accounts that's actually conducting some of this hacking has actually renamed its wallet name. And you can see, and again, because the blockchain is transparent, we can see the transactions associated with this wallet address. For instance, you can see this Adidas original asset has been stolen from this user. All right, so here's some tips if you want to avoid this sort of thing. First off, it's more likely that the hack is going to be social engineering oriented as opposed to a hack of the code base. You should never feel rushed. If you feel rushed, it's a hack, okay? Rush equals hack. They're trying to get you on your heels. They're trying to get you to make a dumb decision. This is why those scammers call in and they say the IRS and you only have 1 day left to da-da-da-da-da. No, it's a hack. Furthermore, as a general rule of thumb, if you're not looking for something, then it's not legitimate. Like if something comes in through email or through phone, but you weren't looking for it, ignore it. Only do what you're looking for. You're looking for a transaction. You're looking to buy something. Things are going to come at you, and they're probably phishing scams. Second, I would not click any links through email or any other social media channels. I just would not do that. Again, you should be proactive in this world, never reactive. Never, oh, I have to click this link, I have to call this number. No, it should always be proactive. You go to OpenSea, you transact, you initiate the transaction. But it's never you reacting to something someone's telling you. That's a red flag. Don't succumb to that. So for most people, I would advise at this point to not do anything, because unfortunately these hacks are kind of like cascading. Like, people will use a hack to create a new hack because they know people are in a frenzy, they're not in their right mind. So now there's going to be emails that say like, don't get hacked, here's another email to get hacked. So it's kind of this like recursive thing. You know, the one exception to that is basically if you interacted with a compromised link anytime in the past, you know, it's possible that this hacker has your signature. So like, maybe audit your transactions, and if any of them look sketchy, then maybe then maybe send your assets to a new wallet. But I wouldn't even really advise that, because it's far more likely you're just going to create more problems for yourself. But if you are fairly confident that maybe you succumb to something like phishing, then you might want to make a fresh wallet and transfer to that wallet. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. Continue to read up on this. But again, the long and short of it is, this is a phishing attack. It hasn't hit that many users. So this isn't a call to arms or anything like that. As always, if this video was helpful, just go ahead and subscribe to this channel, and I'll be keeping you apprised of the latest around emerging technology. Thanks.